It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Living Daily, episode 2419, 5 Minutes to Less, Digital Clutter, by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. And I'm Justin Malik. Happy Monday. Welcome to one of the only podcasts in the world where blogs are narrated to you for free. That's with permission from the authors. Now let's get right to our Minimalist Monday post and start optimizing your life. 5 Minutes to Less, Digital Clutter, by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. I'm ashamed to admit this, but as of last Monday, I had Facebook messages dating back to early 2009. Yes, my backlog of messages predated the invention of the iPad. I hang my head in shame. But this is how disorganization sneaks up on us. We don't realize things are disorganized until they are. And by that time, it seems overwhelming and we just don't want to deal with it. When I started using Facebook messages in the early days of the Obama administration, I never realized how much I would start communicating using this method. As the years passed, Facebook messages became a major communication tool for me, although I found that I regularly forgot to respond to messages because, unlike email, I could not put them in folders. The same applied to text messages. About a month ago, I was complaining to my teenage babysitter about how my phone storage was almost full. She suggested that I delete some old text messages. She said, "I only keep about 3 to 4 texts on my phone." What? She showed me her phone for proof. I was converted. My text message problem was similar to my Facebook one. When I started texting, I didn't realize how quickly it would become one of my main forms of communication. Thus, I never took the time to organize it. Since I couldn't organize the texts into folders, they just remained on my phone in a steady stream. And like Facebook, I often forgot to text people back because I couldn't keep track of which messages needed my action and which didn't. Again, shame. The good news is, I have seen the light. Praise be. In small increments of time here and there, I have decreased my text and Facebook messages to a manageable number. I now only keep messages that are current, pending my response, or pending the response of others. I cannot stress how this is so much easier than my previous system, which was basically no system, just a jumble of important and non-important messages, all lumped together, which resulted in my friends and family considering me at best distracted and at worst rude when I didn't respond to messages. So today's 5 minutes or less organization challenge for you is this: rid yourself of some digital clutter. I've outlined a few ways. I realize that to completely do any of these tasks will require more than 5 minutes total, but I recommend just picking one, setting a timer for 5 minutes, and doing as much as you can. If you feel motivated after 5, keep going, or come back later. The point is, just get started. Don't let the overwhelm of digital clutter keep you stuck in inaction. Number 1, text messages. Delete any old text messages that are not part of a pending conversation, meaning you're not awaiting response or the recipient is not awaiting a response from you. Save any images or videos sent to you via text to your phone. Copy or write down any important reference info sent to you via text. Example, an address you need to keep, a link to a website you need to look at later, etc., and put it on a separate list or file. Number 2, Facebook messages. Very similar to text messages. Archive or delete messages that are not pending. Copy down important info. And side note, when I did this, I experienced the organizer's glee of finding important info I thought I had lost. As I waded through my backlog, I discovered babysitter recommendations from several friends. Date night's coming up. Number 3, photos and videos. Delete bad ones plus ones you've already posted on social media. Why? If the social media is storing the pic or video, you don't have to. The only exception to this is if you are planning to print this pic for an album or photo book, in which case, get it on your computer so you can do that, or use one of the many photo book apps that will pull pics from your phone and make books for you. You can find a gazillion of these by my high-tech method of Googling something like best apps to make photo books from phone. I'd recommend a specific app, but I've actually never done this. My lovely hubby is in charge of the photo book making in our family, and I'll love him forever for this. And number 4, clean up your desktop. If you're a person who likes to keep docs on your desktop, make it neater by throwing those docs in a folder. Choose broad categories to make it easier and have less folders. For example, I have a folder on my desktop titled Less LLC for anything related to my business that I like to keep handy. Inside, I have my professional headshot, a folder of before and after pics, and copies of presentations I do regularly. There you go. In 5 minutes, you'll have decreased some of the digital clutter in your life. Now go text and Facebook message all your friends and family to tell them about how awesome this is, and then immediately delete those messages because you know better now. You just listened to the post titled 5 Minutes to Less, Digital Clutter by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. You know, it's amazing the first time you discover something that really made an impact on your life. For me, it was the amazing authors that are writing such helpful and positive articles online for free. My friend showed me the Minimalist's website and it was a totally different way of thinking, but sort of described what I've been thinking all along. And that was the birth of this podcast and my career. When that happened, it changed my life forever. Well, what if the same thing could happen to you with your job? What if there's an awesome job out there that was made for you? Well, thanks to ZipRecruiter, that job is easier to find than you think. Like a personal recruiter, ZipRecruiter sends you jobs that are a great match for your skills and experience. They can also help you discover new job opportunities that are the right fit for you. Are you ready to find a new or better job? With ZipRecruiter, that job could be right around the corner. What job will ZipRecruiter help you discover? Find out at ziprecruiter.com. And thank you to Rose. She's regularly narrated over on Optimal Finance Daily for her great personal finance content, so you can check out that show for more from her. Now, we're all different, and what would work for me or Rose might not work for you, and that's totally fine. It's exactly why you hear from a bunch of different authors on this show instead of just one author all the time. So for me, deleting all my texts does not sound appealing in the slightest. Same with Facebook messages. I tend to not leave things on read and be confused of whether or not I need to respond or I'm waiting for a response. I actually have used the search function too within my text to find certain information, so I kind of like having old stuff there. If I had deleted it, I would have been bummed. But that's just me. For others, I'm sure it makes complete sense to delete your texts or Facebook messages. For me, numbers 3 and 4 are where I would personally start. Organizing the desktop is nice because it's the first thing we see when we start our computers. If you know where everything is and why it's there, it's a great way to start a nice, productive session. And photos and videos, when those are organized well with some kind of system, it makes finding them so much easier. Personally, I like to limit photos and videos altogether so that I don't have too much to organize and sift through in the first place, and I try to pick ones that really have special meaning to me. Again, just my preference, and what works for me might not be best for you. So on that note, see what works best for you, take this information and do what you want with it. It's all up to you. Have a great start to your week. Thank you for being here with me and listening every day, and I'll be back tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.